Are you putting God first in your life, or are you unknowingly worshiping comfort instead? Think about it. How much of your decisions are made based on your desire for ease, security, and pleasure? In this video, I'll help you examine whether comfort has become an idol in your life. We'll look at the signs that show when we're prioritizing ease over obedience, and what the Bible has to say about this dangerous shift. We'll also discuss how to realign our hearts to worship God fully, no matter the cost. Sign number 1, seeking comfort over God's will. When we seek comfort over God's will, we often make choices based on convenience rather than faith. The desire to avoid discomfort can make us compromise on what God is asking us to do. This happens in big and small ways: avoiding difficult conversations, staying in a job we know isn't God's plan, or even neglecting our spiritual disciplines because they feel hard. The solution here is simple but challenging. Trust God's purpose over your own preferences. Jesus didn't choose comfort. He chose the cross. Matthew 16:24 says, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." Ask God for the courage to follow His will even when it's not comfortable. Comfort can be a trap. Don't let your desire for ease prevent you from walking in God's will. You are called to a life of purpose, not comfort. God's best for you often lies outside your comfort zone. Sign number 2, fear of change or sacrifice. Another sign that we're worshiping comfort is when fear of change or sacrifice keeps us stagnant. Fear can hold us back from stepping into what God is calling us to because we are afraid of the unknown or what we might lose. This fear of sacrifice can be particularly dangerous when it stops us from being generous or taking risks for God's kingdom. 2 Timothy 1:7 tells us, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." Recognize that God has equipped you with everything you need to face change, whether that means stepping out in faith or giving up something that hinders your spiritual growth. Fear may seem real, but it doesn't have power over you. Let God's love and power give you the courage to make the necessary changes in your life. You're not alone in the journey. God's Spirit empowers you to step forward boldly. Sign number 3, prioritizing self-comfort over others. It's easy to become self-centered and prioritize our own comfort at the expense of others' needs. Whether it's avoiding serving in the church, ignoring people who are hurting, or even choosing self-care over God's call to serve, comfort can quietly make us inward-focused. Philippians 2:3-4 encourages us, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others." Serving others is a way to step out of self-centeredness and into God's purpose for your life. Look for opportunities to help and bless others, even when it's inconvenient. True fulfillment comes when we live for others, not ourselves. Jesus showed us the ultimate example of this, laying down His life for us. When you serve others, you honor God. Sign number 4, using comfort as a distraction from spiritual growth. Sometimes we worship comfort by using it as a distraction. This could mean binge-watching shows to avoid thinking about God's call on our lives, or constantly scrolling through social media to escape the conviction the Holy Spirit might be stirring in our hearts. We prioritize things that give us temporary pleasure rather than focusing on eternal growth. The Bible encourages us to keep our minds focused on things above, not on earthly distractions. Colossians 3:2 says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." Make time for God in your day. Spend time in prayer, worship, and the Word. These are the practices that shape you into who God has called you to be. When you invest in your relationship with God, He will provide the rest. Stop letting distractions keep you from your spiritual potential. The things that matter most are often the hardest to pursue, but they bring the most lasting peace and joy. Sign number 5, confusing comfort with God's blessing. A dangerous belief is that comfort and ease are signs of God's blessing. We can fall into the trap of thinking that if we're comfortable, then we're living in God's favor. While God does bless us in many ways, His blessings often come in forms that require us to step out in faith, trust, and sometimes even suffering. Remember that true blessing is not always about material wealth or comfort. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful." Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. God's blessing is about your spiritual growth, and that often comes through discipline and challenge, not comfort. God's favor isn't measured by your comfort, but by your obedience. Don't confuse ease with God's blessing. His ways are higher than our own, and His blessings often come in ways we don't expect. Comfort can become an idol if it drives our decisions, keeps us from stepping out in faith, or distracts us from God's purpose. But God calls us to a life that's not about self-centered ease. We are called to deny ourselves, sacrifice for others, and focus on what truly matters. God's blessings are not found in comfort. They are found in obedience, growth, and faithfulness. If this message challenged you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment, "Lord, I choose you over comfort" below, and subscribe for more content that helps you grow in faith and walk boldly in God's purpose for your life. Romans 8:18 says, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." Comfort is temporary, but the rewards of following God are eternal. Keep your eyes on the prize. You are not called to live for comfort, but to live for Christ. You are not alone. God is with you every step of the way.